Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a new edition of Let's Talk. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit and let everyone get a chance to kind of join in and get some people joining in. But I'm going to talk about a few things that we have going on. It is June 2022, June the 16th, 22. It is hot in Little Rock, Arkansas. So let's see what we have going on. Oh, who am I? I am Carolyn Berry, Executive Director of Alzheimer's Arkansas. The next exciting thing that we have going on is AMP Out. It is July the 16th, and it is at the hall. So if you don't know what AMP Out Oz is, it is a classic rock and roll band, and it is a cover band, and we will be rocking out at the hall. It is a newer venue in Little Rock, and we will be just having a good time raising money for Alzheimer's Arkansas. And if you want to come out, have a good time, raise money for caregivers, that would be a great time. We also will have the Little Rock Hope Caregiver Workshop, July the 21st on Thursday. It is a great place to become educated as a caregiver, get some skills, learn about resources. If you are a vendor or provide services to caregivers, we do still have vendor spots in some sponsorship. So contact our office, of course, to find out all of this information. A great spot to go right now is our Facebook page. We are doing some updates to our website, so go to our Facebook page. On Saturday, July the 23rd, we're going to have a H2Go fun run. It is going to be really fun. It is a family fun event. It is a 2-miler. Bring your friends out, your family out. So we call it H2Go because there will be water. You can get wet or not. We'll have volunteers there with like big water guns squirting you if you like. So if you want to come out, have a good time, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning out at the Air Force Base, if you know anything about it, by the big plane. So come out and have a good time. We will also be another great way to help raise funds for caregivers across the state is the Little Rock Walk of Love at the Zoo, Friday, September the 23rd. It is going to be an evening event, hoping it'll be a little cooler by then. So if you would like to come out, get your teams together, raise funds for caregivers across the state, you come out and have a good time, raise money. It is a great time. Families come out, raise money. We will see the animals, do stroll. We'll have resources. Just a great time at the Little Rock Zoo. So there are a lot of ways to come out and support Alzheimer's Arkansas, learn about Alzheimer's, support caregivers, just any way you like. So if you like walking, if you want to come to the zoo, if you like to dance and rock and roll, you choose how you like to spend your free time, as well as support Arkansas and a great cause and caregivers. So today on Let's Talk, we're going to talk about Alzheimer's. So June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. So what a great time to talk about Alzheimer's. So the one thing I like to start off when I talk about Alzheimer's is talk about the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. I find that as I'm out, there are still many questions about what is the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. So to start off, Alzheimer's is a dementia. So dementia is the umbrella term. So a lot of people, in kind of like the research says, is an umbrella term. So that is the big category. So if there's something to compare it to, if dementia is the fruit, if I say dementia is the fruit, and Alzheimer's is what kind. So if I said I had a fruit, your first thought would probably be what kind. So Alzheimer's is the most common type of dementia. So, dementia is not a disease, but a collection of symptoms. So, it is more of a disorder. So, when you think about a collection of symptoms, dementia is an impairment of the brain. So, when someone has dementia, you should automatically think what kind. There are many types. So remember this, Alzheimer's is the most common type. Depending on the research, it could be 60 to 75% of the kinds of most common type. So there is vascular, which of course means like caused in the veins. There is also Parkinson's type. There are many other types. Some research says up to over 100 types, but Alzheimer's is the most common types. So the number one risk for Alzheimer's is age. It is not Alzheimer's. You should not expect to get Alzheimer's because you age, but the number one risk factor is age. So Alzheimer's disease uh, involves the part of the brain that controls your thought, memory, and language. So it affects, you should, most people that are diagnosed with Alzheimer's are 80 years of age or older. So at 80 years of age, 1 out of 2 people are diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's disease is the number one factor is age, and you should not, it is not a normal part of aging, and it's the most common type. So I guess that's like some of the significant parts of Alzheimer's disease. Another thing about Alzheimer's disease is that there is no cure, prevention, or treatments. Now, there are some drugs that help um, some of the symptoms, so from becoming worse for a limited amount of time, and they really do kind of help with that. So here's oh, thank you. So here's a visual of like dementia versus Alzheimer's. So um, it is a very general type. So here's the onset of dementia versus Alzheimer's. But we have to remember that Alzheimer's is a type of dementia, and there are different types of dementia. So depending on what part of what your symptoms are gives you what type of dementia you have. So if you look at causes, I don't know if you guys can see this well. If you come back and kind of blow it up later, so a stroke could be a cause of a dementia. So depending on where your impairment is what your impairment is going to look like. So if the stroke is in the front of your brain, your symptoms are going to be different. So that's kind of how the doctor can determine what type of dementia you have. And for the most part, there's going to be different behaviors, different judgments. So dementia is a progressive disease, and it's only going to get worse with time. So that's another thing to remember, that I usually say today is your best day. Are there going to be some better days in between, or are there going to be some days that are okay? And even to some, it may look like your loved one may be getting better. Yes. However, today is usually your best day because the disease is progressive and it is not going to get any better. So when we think about, there's some different types of uh, dementias. So, of course, the biggest one we're showing is Alzheimer's disease because it is the most common type. There's Parkinson's related, vascular, as I said. There can be alcohol related dementia, frontal temporal. That usually happens to uh, people younger. Sometimes onset is in the 30s and 40s. A lot of times it's misdiagnosed. Doctors sometimes think people are having like mental breaks. Lewy bodies dementia, some types of infection, genetic conditions. So there are many other types. That's why going to the doctor is very important, and different types of dementia cause different types of behaviors. And of course, maybe there may not be a lot of treatments, but some of them can, with some treatments, it happens. You can have some treatments. However, there are some ways that you can like cut down on some behaviors and maybe help with some decision making on how your treatment looks. But it is important to get a diagnosis. So remember that as you think about what dementia. So if your loved one or if you receive a dementia diagnosis, it is important to try to get your doctor or your neurologist to figure out what type. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. So just in case you don't know, Amanda, our lovely grants coordinator, she is our background production and she keeps me on track. So let's talk about like what some of the signs and symptoms to look for, because a lot of times it's hard to distinguish what Alzheimer's disease looks like, because it can be some of the normal things that we see day to day. And the important part of Alzheimer's disease is it is not a normal part of aging. But some of the things we see can be, for some of us, normal. So when we think about normal, I'll say for me, because I'm the best person that I can use as I get older, is that there are some common things that I do, and it's common. So that is not out of the ordinary for me. So I lose my keys all the time. Now that is not abnormal. So when you kind of think about when we think about Alzheimer's and when you get a diagnosis, it becomes a thing that the doctor or the research says is it becomes when you can't function. It hinders your functions. So and it's abnormal. So I lose my keys all the time. So if I started losing my keys more than I usually do, then that may become an issue. But if I don't know what my keys are for, now that becomes an issue. And when I say I don't know what my keys are for, usually that means I don't know what keys are for. So yes, I lose my keys often. I've lost my keys in the store. I've lost my keys at home, at work. So it is quite normal for me to put my keys down and I don't know where they are. So when one of the symptoms is loses things. So it is not abnormal for me to lose things, but it is abnormal for some people to lose things. I lose my cell phone often. I just put my cell phone and my keys down, and sometimes I put my cell phone and my keys where they're supposed to be, and that's the last place I look when I'm looking for them, and I'm like, oh, I put them where they're supposed to be. But if you do that, and you don't, if you start to lose your keys and your phone and things, and you don't normally do it, then you may need to see a doctor. But when I find my keys and I don't know what keys are for, like I don't know that they go into a lock. So sometimes if you've ever come across people with Alzheimer's or some type of dementia, uh, if you've seen them pick up keys, they may try to use it to cut something with, like use it as a knife. That's an indication that they don't know what keys are for. So that's an important part of understanding that there's something wrong. A lot of us forget common words. You look at something and you're like, what's that word? That's a common practice. But when you truly can't remember the word or you really like are blank at something, that is when you probably need to go see a doctor. When you notice a lot of things that happen, your loved one or your family is going to notice more than you are. If you've always have been good at judgment, if you've always been good at problem solving, so if you've always been responsible and all of a sudden your family member notices that you're not making good judgment, that is a sign. Now, I'm going to say that a lot of people say we get like midlife crisis and we kind of change sometimes, and that's true. Maybe our children leave home and like we kind of change, but that does not, we do not like go as far as usually like not paying bills. Yeah, people might go buy upgrade on a car or get a sports car, but usually they can afford the sports car. Not that they just stop paying bills and forget their utilities are turned off. So when they lack the judgment that they used to have, not that they kind of start enjoying life in a different way. So that does not mean that they change in a way that they enjoy life. So it can be kind of tricky. So um, doing things, familiar things that you cannot do. So I remember I've heard a couple caregivers say that their loved ones cannot do things that they have always been able to do. So one particular loved one told me about his wife. So his wife had probably made millions of sandwiches in their lives, in her life, his sandwiches for work and their children's sandwiches for school. So one particular day, he noticed that she could no longer make a sandwich. So even when he laid out everything before her, she could not recall how to make a sandwich. So maybe you're listening to me now and thinking like, how could she recall not knowing how to make a sandwich? Well, when you think about it, you have to remember that the bread goes on the outside and everything else goes on the inside. Well, that's a process, and when you can't remember that, then you don't know how to make a sandwich anymore. So things such as that. Now, memory loss is a, a very important part of that, and we don't remember everything. However, that does not mean, that's a tricky one too, because I remember one day my daughter came to me and she was telling me about this event, and she was about 14 years old. And she was so excited about this particular day that we had spent together. And she was so excited. So she could remember it, and she is like just impacted her day. I don't remember the day. And I just, I can't. And I tried and I can't. So after doing some research and understanding that a lot of things that we remember, it's like a computer. So I know we say like cookies and like we have the computer like throws things out that we don't need, our brain is the same way. So our brain does not remember everything. We remember things that's impactful to us. So what's impactful to us, to me as an individual, may not be impactful to the next person. So whatever was so amazing to her at, on that particular day was not to me. I know that sounds horrible, but anyway, so I love her, but it was not. So to me, it was like kind of my brain, whatever it was it did not impact me enough for my brain to say, hey, let's remember this, but it was to her. So it does not mean that I have Alzheimer's or dementia. It just means that that day was not, and that event was not enough for me to kind of remember it. So that's why some of these signs and symptoms can be just a little tricky. Um, you can have driving trouble. The thing about driving trouble, uh, it does not mean that your loved one does not know how to drive. The driving conversation is really, really a very hard conversation to have and really difficult for loved ones to understand because a lot of times people say, well, my loved ones still know how to drive. And a lot of times driving is not the issue. Well, because if when you think about Alzheimer's disease, your memory and your function is kind of going backwards. So your short-term memory is affected first, and your function and memory is going backwards. So the things you know how to do early on in your life stays intact for a long time. So your conversation skills, because we learn how to do that very, very early. You know, we start to learn to talk and have conversation at 2 and 3. So let's talk about driving. Many of our loved ones, especially men, learn to drive on a farm at 14. It's a different, they drove at a different age and time. So, 13 and 14 on country roads. So their ability to drive stays intact for a long time. So they know the function. They know to get in, check their mirrors. They know the function. However, trouble driving comes in with the other things that come with driver, like response time. So they're driving and a car in front of them like hits the brakes. Like, how is their response time? How does their eyes, like their spatial, their vision, how is their hearing, all the other things that go with driving. So those are the problems that come along with driving that makes it very, very dangerous. And I go back to that response time. How is their memory? Because even in Little Rock, Arkansas, over the past 5 years, like how things have changed, how streets have changed, how roads have changed, it does not look the same. So if your memory is going backwards, then it's so easy to get lost. So as roads change and directions change, it's so easy to get lost. So think about that as you think about driving. So as we think about June being Alzheimer's Awareness Month, I want you to think about your loved one and think about you and think about some of the signs and symptoms and being aware of your own health and your brain health. So it is brain health. So some of the things we can do to help. So I did say that there's no cure, prevention, or treatment that research has at this time. However, there are some things that research says that you can do to help. So I always like to say, when you take care of your heart, you take care of your brain. So what does that mean? So whatever your doctor is recommending for your heart, and we all hear about heart health, that is that healthy meal, the Mediterranean diet. Watch what you eat, healthy oils and healthy foods that take care of your brain, take care of your heart. Exercise, walking, no matter where you are in your health, we can all walk 30 minutes a day. So, walking, exercise. When you walk, it takes care of your brain. Another thing that we don't talk about a lot that is really, really good for your brain is sleep. Sleep is very, very important for your brain. It detoxifies our brains at night. Now, a lot of times we don't think about this, but uh, when we're sick, the first thing we want to do is go to sleep. But it helps us recover. Sleep helps us recover. So at night when we go to sleep, there are fluids that washes our brains because every day we have like mileage on our brain. So we get this superficial like work on our brain. So at night when we we're working, we're using our brains, this fluid comes and it like washes and helps our brain. So we relieves the toxins, washes it out. So we have to have enough sleep to help relieve and clear our brains of these toxins. So sleep becomes very important. So I'm going to post an article in the next couple of days. So look on our Facebook page. So it kind of gives us some, I think it's 4 steps. Look for it in the next few days for some steps to help, research says to help with Alzheimer's, to help reduce it. So remember that there are some things that research says that may help, and I would rather do some things that may help than not do anything at all. So it's June is Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Take care of your heart, you'll take care of your brain. Know the signs and symptoms because you never know if someone that you love may be struggling. So know the signs and symptoms, contact our office, talk to your doctor. If you think someone is having signs and symptoms, and when you get your regular checkups, I know we go annually, we get all kind of exams, and sometimes our doctor does not assess us for our loved ones for our brain health. So talk to them about assessing our memory. There are some memory tests that can be done. So talk to your doctor if you think you're having any issues with your memory. So let's talk about some great things that's going on at Alzheimer's Arkansas, because we can't do what we do without you. There are some great things going on at Alzheimer's Arkansas. We help caregivers across the state. We know caregivers need help. They can't do it alone. So we have started back up lunch and learns. Currently, we have them in Little Rock, Conway, and Hot Springs. We have coffee with Carolyn and Gigi the last Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. If you need to talk about anything as a caregiver, please feel free to join in. This is a Zoom meeting and you don't have to register. You just go to our Facebook page and there is a link. Come in and talk to us. Also, if you need to talk to us, we do have a 800 number. You can talk to us 24 hours a day. We will start our new CareLink year on July the 1st. Our applications will be on our website. There's our information. You can email us at grantsalzark.org or call the office at 501-224-0021 for all of our grant information. So we will be having a couple of grants starting July 1st. So if you need any resources or support, email us at info@alzark.org. Of course, call our office at 224-0021. Go to our Facebook page. We're here to help. If anyone within the state need resources. So don't think you have to be in Little Rock. We are here for you. Again, we have the Little Rock Hope coming up. We have uh, Amp Out Oz coming up July the 16th. We have the Front Run on July the 23rd, the Little Rock Walk. So I'll be there. I want you to be there. If you need any help, any resources, please give us a call because this is why we do what we do. So thank you. Hey, and stay cool. It's getting hot in Arkansas. So if you need any kind of resources or help finding resources, this is why we are here. So until the next time, call me and let's talk.